Hey. Welcome to the last episode of the Earth, Sea, Love podcast for season 2. Thanks for sticking with us. So pleased to have you here today, as well as I'm pleased with myself, man. You know, I put it out there, 2 episodes per week for the next 3 weeks to get us to the end of July, and actually done it. And I'm so pleased because doing this podcast carries with it a lot of pleasure, a lot of joy, but then also a lot of pressure. We have these stimulating, inspiring, critical conversations together, and then there is the obligation to get it out, to get the episode out, to get the conversation out as quickly as possible so you can have this information, this communication, these stories ASAP, because they're really too good to be sitting on. But then that has to be also balanced with practice of slow, of doing things all in good time. And there's the battle here, because it's not being lazy, and it's not just not caring, it's actually caring even more about myself, my mental health. And we know that is within the mainstream at the moment with what's been going on in the Olympics, but I'm not going to go into that. If I'm thinking about my mental health, making sure that the podcast delivers and doesn't let anyone down does weigh heavy on that. But at the same time, as my energy levels, my commitment to my family, they also weigh heavily on my conscience, on my physical and mental well-being. So as I said, I'm so pleased that we have hit the target of winding up the second season of the Earth, Sea, Love podcast at the end of July. So August can be some off time, some consolidation, some reflection. And also, remember I did say we are bringing out the Earth, Sea, Love zine. And if you haven't already reached out to me, reach out, share your email. We are starting up an official or proper mailing list during the summer some point. But in the meantime, you can always DM Sea Love on Instagram and get on the list when we will be bringing these out in September. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Earth, Sea, Love podcast. This podcast is for and about women of colour and our relationship with nature. Hosted by me, Sheree Mack. The Earth, Sea, Love podcast is committed to exploring the experiences of women of colour with Mother Nature. We want to provide spaces where the hidden voices in their environmental and conservation conversations can explore their relationship with the natural world. Inspired by our time spent outdoors, we amplify the voices of women of colour, our stories, our conversations, interviews, photography, writing, and artwork. We'll be exploring our legacies, histories, and memories which have had an influence and effect upon how we perceive ourselves within the natural world and within the environmental and climate justice movements. Welcome to the Earth, Sea, Love podcast. The Earth, Sea, Love podcast has been made possible by the funding from National Lottery Heritage Fund. Thank you. This episode is with the lovely Pammy Johal from Backbone CIC, based up in the Northwest Highlands. And Backbone is an organisation that's been around for a number of years, providing opportunities, adventures out within the countryside for diverse groups and people. And it was lovely to talk to Pammy, gaining wisdom, her expertise and experience within the outdoors field. And then also to, as you'll hear on the podcast, I was invited along to a Symposium, which was a meeting of those diverse groups and people who enjoy and experience the outside countryside and nature, with those that work within the sector, those organisations which are predominantly white based. And it was a coming together. The Symposium, which happened in June the 19th, was a coming together of these different groups to have these conversations. And as you'll hear in the podcast, Pammy says, we've got research fatigue, because there's so much research out there for the last 20 years plus around diversity in the countryside. Now we're thinking not so much the issue around barriers, but more a case of like, we're there, we're doing it, but it's not being amplified. So having this symposium was a chance to share these experiences, share these initiatives, and maybe to break through why there's that gap between the research and these are the issues, and then joining it up to actually do something, to have some action. And you'll hear that Pammy's really passionate about doing things and making things happen. And I think that's why Backbone has been such a success. It has been based in Scotland, but it sounds as if it's expanding to be a national organisation. So I did go to this symposium, and it was, it was good in the sense of meeting new people, meeting new women of colour who I hope to have on this podcast for season 3. I'm waiting to see now how those conversations are going to develop into action. As I'm saying, there is that sense of urgency because we are in a climate crisis, but at the same time, I am appreciating going at a slower pace and bringing about change at that slower pace, because I do believe changes over time, which are slow and steady, have more of a chance maybe to bed in and not be a knee-jerk reaction or a ticky box scoring points sort of action. I do think there's credit and value to be had in those conversations which take into account the process and how we get from A to B and how we can enjoy and bring pleasure to that journey at the same time as changing lives and changing perspectives and changing the narrative. And the symposium was good, and I'm looking forward to transforming those conversations and connections into action, collaboration, abundance of opportunities on the horizon. And on that note, I'm going to leave you with the episode. I'm going to wish you a happy August, and I'm signing off. Thank you so much for being with us for season 2, and I look forward to bringing season 3 in the autumn. Take care. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.
Yeah, Loch Luichate.
Loch Luichate. That must really feed the soul, waking up with that view.
And that is the bedroom. That's the bedroom right there with the balcony. You know, honestly, I'm not complaining, except that it is getting quite busy this time of year at the moment. Yeah. So how are you? Where are you based?
I'm based on the northeast coast of England. So close to the Northumberland County, about an hour and a half from the border, I would say. Yeah, I'm a sea person, but I love Lochans as well, you know.
Yeah.
Any
I've done quite a bit of cycling around in Northumberland, both on the mountain bike and the road bike. Beautiful. And Northumberland's a lovely, lovely place.
It is. I'm just starting to explore it now because it's always been what I've driven through to get to Scotland. Because Scotland has
nice. What made you move?
My mum was born in the northeast by two mixed race parents. But when she got with my dad, who was from Trinidad and Tobago, they moved down to Bradford. So I am a Yorkshire lass. I was born.
I know, you can hear it in your accent.
But then once my dad died, my mum moved back up to the northeast to be near her parents to bring us up because I was 9, my sister was 11, so she needed support. And then I went away to London to do my degree and do some teaching. But then once I had kids, I came back to the northeast. And it's only now, I'm nearing 50, but it's only now that I class it as maybe home.
Wow.
Rather than just my base. I do think what has helped me to, I mean, I've always been searching for home, but I think deepening my relationship with nature has helped me realize my home is my body. My home is wherever I go. But having that connection with nature, especially on my doorstep, has made me appreciate my home, the external home more, and feel more comfortable. Because nature welcomes you. She does not judge. She accepts me in all my glory and flaws.
That's what we do with Backbone. That's the reason that we take folks in the outdoors, because it is such a neutral ground.
It is.
You know, there is no, it doesn't judgmental. It's not judgmental.
None at all. And you can drop all those masks or identities that you are forced to carry through society. And you can just be totally bare and raw and yourself. And because I love to wild swim, because that's why I'm in the water. I love to wild. But within that setting, I am totally myself, but then also not of myself. Do you know what I mean? It's that.
I do. I was swimming yesterday. I'm a mountain biker, and I swim pretty much every day, either in this loch or another loch. So I get that, but not just swimming. It's just basically being in the outdoors, you know, climbing, whether I'm climbing mountains, whether I'm on my bicycle, or whether I'm walking, or doing exactly what I'm doing now, which is looking out there and with my feet up. Talking to somebody about things that matter, you know, what better place to do it than out here?
Than outside. And that is something that I've noticed more and more, that you can have those meaningful, real, genuine conversations outside more than you can inside. Or there is something that it opens you up. It definitely opens you up. And that happens through the body and through the senses, which we are cut off more from in our day-to-day, or in, you know, if we're working, that sort of thing. Anyhow, we are talking about me. Welcome, Pammy. I'm not even sure if I've said your name. It's Pammy, everyone. It's Pammy.
Lovely. You said you're 50. I just turned 60 in March.
No. Obviously, the outdoors and what you're doing in your day agrees with you, because you do not look like you are a 60-year-old, right? The usual 60-year-old woman. Yeah. If we're thinking about society, you should be out to pasture now. You should be, hiding away.
You're beginning to sound like my mother.
And I'm saying society.
I know what you mean.
I don't believe that. I think the more we age, or the more that we mature, we should be visible, more visible. I think, because we're still contributing, we're still valuable, because it is put out there. You have to be young, white and male, you're the biz. Anything other than that, then your worth and value goes down. So to be older Black women, I love that. We've been talking about your surroundings. Just tell us a little bit more of your surroundings. You live near a loch. Is this near Glasgow? Am I wrong or am I right?
Not at all. Not at all.
No.
Not at all.
Oh, well, tell me, where do you live so we can
Right.
situate you, and what can you see around you in relation to nature?
Yeah, well, I live in the Northwest Highlands, and it's about a 30-minute drive northwest of Inverness. And I'm at the foot of these beautiful mountains that are called the Fannichs. And right in front of me is Loch Luichate, Luichate, which is a wonderful loch. And on that loch, there is not far we have a resident osprey that comes every year, has its chicks, so we look out for it in April, and then look out for the chicks about now. They've just kind of appeared, and you can see their two little heads popping up on the pylon. And at the back of the house, I have woodlands and fantastic wildlife, birds. You know, we have woodpeckers, all the different chaffinches, the goldfinches, woodpeckers. The red squirrel comes along to visit, and even a pine marten comes out the back here. So we're just surrounded by wonderful, the eagles and the different birds of prey. So the bees, right now it's spring and summer, and as you just saw earlier on, the massive bumblebees, they're saying there's a shortage of them, but they're not a shortage of them over here, let me tell you. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing mountains, and we're seeing lochs, and we're in the Northwest Highlands.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that part of Scotland. A few years ago now, I went near Fannichs, which is, up there, because I love the area.
Was it not Glenafric?
Yes, it was because I wanted to see
that's not far from me. That's about 2 valleys over.
Because I wanted to see those old ancient Caledonian trees,
That's right. And the time to see them is autumn.
Yeah,
because they are absolutely stunning. Autumn, and then along with the winter, so the first snows and autumn is a wonderful time to see those mountains.
Well, thank you for that, because I was thinking, as long as the borders stay open, then for my 50th birthday, I want to go up there and just be by myself, enjoy my own solitude. So that's good to know, autumn, because autumn's my time of year. I'm an autumn baby. October I am. So that sounds beautiful, so lovely. And as I say, I love that neck of the woods. That's your backyard in a sense.
Exactly, it is my front yard.
But you haven't always lived up there, have you?
No, I have been here 17 years. And prior to that, I was in the Lake District. And I've a little cottage in a little wee village between the Yorkshire Dales and the Lake District, little village called Home. Again, it's the mountains and wild open spaces, but that just got too busy. I decided that and I used to come here all the time in the Northwest, here north of Ullapool, in the Coigach Range, Corridon, and I just decided that it's time to move up here, and I just up sticks 17 years ago. Prior to that, I was living in wild places in America, North Carolina, in the Linville Gorge, and working in Costa Rica, climbing mountains, and Mexico, and
is this wild outdoor nature part of your blood? Is this?
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to, on my website, you'll see the founder's message, and it tells you that at the age of 16, I was introduced to the mountains. Actually, we grew up with not mountains, but outside the outdoors with my dad. My dad used to take us out in camping all the time in this little van, the whole family. And so the outdoors was instilled us. But the first time I saw the mountains, because I'm definitely a mountain person, was when I was 16, and I have lived in the mountains ever since.
So what is it about the mountains?
Oh, I don't know. Space, perspective, spirituality, like you said, a sense of belonging, something bigger than you, much bigger than me, actually. My relationship with hills, mountains, wild spaces, I would call them, is much bigger than me. It's something that it's a calling, basically. Calling. Every aspect of my life, my work, everything is all to do with the great outdoors.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So you're saying that you went up to the Highlands about 17 years ago. Has this been how long Backbone has been in existence?
Oh, no. Oh no, Backbone's been going on since 1995. I've been an outdoor practitioner all my entire adult life, since I was introduced to the mountains at the age of 16. And then when I did a degree in outdoor recreation and postgrad in youth and community work, and that was in my, in my 20s. And then I left Britain and went to America and worked with all kinds of outdoor organizations. But it's been in my blood, and Backbone has been in my. I realized in 95, I basically went to America as soon as I left college and didn't come back for 8 years. Actually, I didn't come back for 12 years, really, do everything. But I came back because I realized there wasn't anybody that looked like me doing what I'm doing. And that's what made me set up Backbone.
Oh, you mean there was nobody in the UK looking like you doing what you're doing? So that's why.
Even in America, if I'm honest, the organizations I was working with, they had very few people of what they call people of color. I don't know what we're going to be labeled next, but let's wait for it.
Well, I say label ourselves. I've been
exactly.
Black and people of color, and I also love people of the global majority, because that's rewriting how we're constantly told that we're a minority, but we're not really on the global scale,
Exactly.
So, I'm thinking about Backbone, a community interest company. It must be about five years ago, more now, because I was looking for organizations that were doing things outdoors, introducing Black and brown people to the outdoors, diversity in the outdoors. Backbone was one organization that came up, and I was going, yes. But I'm in the Northeast, and it was to go for funding on our backyard and a way for us to appreciate Northumberland more. So I was so pleased to find Backbone. So I know about Backbone, but our listeners do not. So please talk about Backbone, because you've got that byline, celebrating diversity through adventure.
Yes,
so
perfect.
What does it mean?
What it means is, in a nutshell, adventure for some people is leaving their home and a walk in the park, having the confidence to leave their home and a walk in a park. And for some others, it's about climbing a Himalayan peak, or a big bike ride, or a big canoe adventure, or a ski adventure. And I am one of the far end. I do those things. But for us, it's about allowing people access, opportunities to access nature in all its guises, benefit from everything that it has to offer. And there's a plethora of benefits. People think, yes, it's great for meeting other people, for mental health, for health issues, and there's more. Do you know that what we found is that if we offer, what Backbone does, it offers a wow factor. As you know, I truly believe that everybody that's gone for their first visit to nature would have gone, some level of, this is amazing. And what we want to do is offer that to everybody, because once you have it, it doesn't leave you, and you'll want to introduce other people to it, and then you'll want to learn about it, and then you'll understand it. And Shireen, you were talking about the global community, and then we become part of that global community that wants to protect it and take care of it. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. And how we do that is we train local ambassadors, community ambassadors. So we take people from our ethnically diverse communities from across Scotland at the moment. Actually used to be in the UK as well. And we train them up in skills, qualifications, how to facilitate, how to develop robust and safe organizations, so they can start taking groups out for themselves. Who better than leaders from their own communities, building, developing sustainable initiatives. So we've had biking clubs, we've had walking clubs, we've had gardens, we've had vegetable plots, we've had mother toddler groups, we've had the elderly group. We've had so many groups being formed as a result of the work that we've been doing. So that's one bit. So I've talked about the biking and the leadership, because they both are about leadership stuff that they can take back in the community. We also do simple things like what we call nature days. So we just say, right, if you haven't been to nature, come on, we're going to take you. So we provide a bus, we take folks out, and their first visit, they have that wow moment and they want more. So we grab a few of those folks and we train them so they can take their own groups out. And we do residential, so they can have overnight experiences. And we also do these fantastic events called Outdoor Festival for All. And what the Outdoor Festival for All does, brings our leadership alumni and local, what I call sector organisations, outdoor organisations, environmental organisations together. And together we deliver a fantastic day out. So it has climbing walls, we have bikes, we have face painting, we have environmental walks, we have foraging, we have all kinds of stuff going on in a remote place in the Highlands. And we've had 300, 400 people to 150 people coming to these events, and they've been brilliant. So we're kind of a live wire. And you're right, not many people have heard of us down south because most of our work has been up north. However, we did originate down south. We did most of our work, it got named Backbone. And I know Sarah Bacumne would not mind me saying this, but she wrote a beautiful poem from one of our creative workshops that we did in Grisdale Forest with the the sculptures. I said, go find a sculpture that speaks to you. And she found a beautiful backbone. I think it was a whale backbone sculpture. And she said, well, that's the backbone of our communities is the women. And she wrote a beautiful poem. And I said, well, can we use that to name Backbone? And she said, yes.
I love that inception there, that collaboration and
yes.
coming out of community, which I feel is so strong with Backbone and so needed, and how you're meeting the community and individuals where they are at.
Yes.
Yes. Any assumption, you are inclusive in providing that variety of different opportunities to engage with nature, with the outdoors, how they're comfortable doing it, however they're accessing it from where they're at now. And I think that makes the difference, and that's how it's successful, basically.
You're absolutely right. You've hit two things. One is we definitely meet people where they are at. Just right now we're working with some Syrian refugees, and we've training them in outdoor first aid. They've got their outdoor first aid, and we've actually got a couple of volunteers that are leading walks for us, and it's fantastic. So they have picked up the skills where they are at, and we know that we're pitching it at a level that is suitable for that group. The other collaboration that's really important, our main partners here in Scotland are the two national parks, Cairngorms National Park Authority, Loch Lomond and Trossachs National Park Authority, and Nature Scott. Those three have been by our side the whole time that we've been in Scotland, since 2005. And it's a real joint effort with regards to, we don't do things on our own. So not only are the communities part of our partners, and I don't like the word formal partners because it's a relationship. We've got fantastic relationships based on our core values with community groups and all the environmental and outdoor organizations that we work with. We insist that we can see, hear and feel genuine intention and integrity, mutual trust and respect, and everything we do is for the direct benefit of communities. We eat, sleep, drink that. That's how we operate on every level. So you could be a CEO of an organization, and we have said no to organizations. We don't want to work with you because you don't get it. And where we've been used for tokenistic stuff and tick boxing, or to get funds and things like that. And we've challenged them on it, and we've not walked away from them, but we said, right now, you don't get it, but we will continue our dialogue. But once you get it, we will work with you. And some have walked away from us completely, but I think they'll come back. And some are still working with us. And the beauty of particularly the two national parks and Nature Scott, is that we have developed over 15 years, this wonderful relationship that we have, that we share the risk, we share those dialogues, and it's really, really important.
Yeah.
And right now we're doing the Symposium, which is bringing people together from the ethnically diverse communities and the sector. And, it's happening on the 19th of June, and I hope you can make it. I was going to talk to you about that in a while. And, that's bringing folks together, because we need to know that those opportunities that the sector is offering is accessible to everybody. Because currently the conversation is, what are the barriers to ethnic minorities, diverse communities engaging with the outdoors. And actually there are no barriers, because people from our communities, from ethnically diverse communities, are accessing the great outdoors, but they're choosing not to access sector services. A nail on the head. So what we're doing, what they've said to me, is the lack of opportunity. They don't know knowledge of it, don't know how to access it. And so we are working as a collective, through the symposium, to say, let's sort this out through action. I don't want dialogue anymore. I don't want conversation. We're talking about action. Everything we've been doing is about action. So we don't talk much, we do.
Oh my gosh, that's music to my ears. We have talked on this podcast about barriers
for 40 years.
But I love that it's much more nuanced than that. And it's not, we are accessing it. We have been accessing for generations. And it's not engaging with that sector where that predominant image that is put out is that you're white, you're able-bodied, you're cis, it's a case of like, that's the norm. That's been very off-putting, but it sells opportunities. And when you're saying action, oh my gosh, I love that. I was part of this research into diversity, and we sat down with the Secretary of State recently, and he came in listening mode. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I started with the first question and I ended with the first question. It was, when are we meeting again? Because nothing can be done with just a 45 meeting. Yeah. And especially if I'm only talking for 5 minutes and you're listening. And it was a case of like, this is what we're doing. We're not asking you to do the work for us because we're already doing it. What we want are those more resources and support to continue doing this good work, to provide opportunities, our community. Of course, he never mentioned race or racism because that isn't an issue. That doesn't happen, in the great outdoors. So that
is a question we pose. We have been on, if you go onto our web, you will see STV News and a recent TV and radio coverage, and we'll be on BBC Landwards shortly. And we are basically questioning, is the sector institutionally racist?
Yeah.
And I call that some is blatant discrimination, and for some it's a blind spot that needs, folks can see that it's happening and they are part of a system. So, and I call that gatekeepers of opportunities. Those hold the key to opportunities. Hence, this symposium is going to change that completely.
Tell us about this symposium, because I was thinking it was the end of the year, but you've just mentioned June. This month?
Yeah, I want you there on June the 19th. It's 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock. It's got over 50 from both sides, from both diverse communities and from the sector. And it's all about, well, what are we going to do about it? Action. I want to see, what are you going to do about it? I don't want to see any EDI policies and procedures. And I'm going to be honest, I'm also going to look at our community, the ethnic diverse communities, because we have stuff that we need to deal with. There's been opportunities laid on the table, and we take some folks take those opportunities for free and then don't turn up. Some, we have to do a lot of chasing, and also there's a lot of parent-child and dependency behaviors that we have to break. So it is a two-way thing. Yeah. And I think that, I'm so, this is what this symposium is all about, is come on, let's all of us address our stuff and let's get on with it.
I love what you just said, that parent-child mentality. I was calling it deferential behavior. The idea of like, we had this meeting and there was some that in the group were saying, well, we should be really grateful that we've been invited to the table, and we should play nice, otherwise we won't be invited again. I went off it. So you're saying questioning is being ineffective, or we've got to be asking these questions. We've got to be critical.
Wanting something for free as well. So we got used to, handouts and I just think, actually, no, we need to stop that. And the other one is that there's some patterns on both the sector side and for ethnically diverse communities. And that's what we're bringing together in the symposium, highlighting.
You've done some research that is
Yeah.
underpinning this symposium. Yeah. So can you talk about the research? Who you've been talking to? What's this research? I've been hearing a lot about research, and I want to know where's the next.
Well, when you talk about research, I don't give a toss about research, because what I call it repetitive research syndrome. So I wouldn't call ours research per se, because there's plenty out there, and I'm doing it because it's to highlight a point. In 40 years, I have seen so much resources being wasted on evidence-based research, but that is another excuse, as I call it, an excuse for inactivity. And that's what we're doing. So come to the symposium on the 19th and you will hear all.
Where is this happening?
It's on a webinar, because it can't happen physically, because Scotland is still, we can't have, we've got over 100 people coming to the webinar. Please come, and that would be fantastic.
I haven't seen it advertised.
No, because it's basically, it was by invitation in Scotland, but it's grown arms and legs and people are hearing about it. So we've just we're letting it grow organically. So it would be lovely to have you there, and I will send you an invite and tell you all about it.
I would appreciate that. I would love to come along, because this is.
But you'll have lots to contribute.
Thank you.
And that's what it is. It's about valuing everybody's contribution. This is not about listening to speakers. It's about contributing, and that everybody's contribution matters.
It does. Going back to that idea of where's your professional research, rather than actually listening to people's lived experience, and they're contributing their story and their experience and their work. No. Yeah, that's all well and good, but where's the professional? Where's the stat? As you say, it's an excuse. It's an excuse. So thank you.
You need to visually. Somebody asked me this on social media, and I said, well, actually, you want the evidence? I said, go walk into 10 conservation, environmental, outdoor organisations, and visually you can see the stats for yourself, because there is visually a lack of diversity within these organisations. Boom, full stop.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do here, because there's a lot of community gardens, nature reserves, which are maintained, protected, to protect the wildlife and the fauna and flora. But at the same time, it's also an exclusive club. What we've been trying to do is stay local and get to know our local reserves or patches of land, and be at the decision-making table on how these are being managed and how they're being accessed by open access to others. So that's what we've been trying to do locally, of get into these community gardens where it is. They are white. They are totally.
Well, do come to the symposium. Clear the 19th of June, and do come, because I think that will be it'll be great for you as an organisation or as an individual to just that whole. I think it'll create wonderful opportunities for everybody at that table.
Okay, all right, thank you for that. You talked about 16 mountains, but before that, your father would take you camping as a family. So what is your family background and heritage?
Yeah, I'm Indian, from Sikh background. My parents came here in the 50s. I grew up in Britain, in Coventry, actually, till I was 7. Yeah, Dad especially has always had a love for the outdoors, and has always taken us out and about, and every weekend we'd go camping and stuff. And, and again, you'll hear these stories on our website. You'll hear all of those. There's loads of personal stories there. But he used to take us out every weekend, 5 kids and mum and dad, and knock on farmers' doors and say, can we come and camp in your field? And they'd say, yeah, of course you can. And get a bonfire going, and away we go.
But I do think stories powerful. Our stories are powerful, and we need to be telling them more. And I was just looking, there was something in The Guardian yesterday. Mark Rylance, who's an actor or something, and there's a new program coming on TV. And his argument was that we should be forgetting about these big organizations and what they're doing for climate crisis. And we should be focusing on the individual and people, because what's missing is that love of nature. If we had more people loving nature, then we would have more people in the fight to be working to protect them.
But that's what we're about. That's what we do.
No, that's it. I'm
That's
saying
it. That's
that's what I'm
our
about.
wow
That's what
factor. Our wow
you're
factor.
about, yeah. And that's what we've been doing. But I'm just thinking now, 2021, and it's a sir, and he's a white guy, and he's coming out and doing a program about the love of nature, and he's getting this is like good ideas. Like what? It's like we've known
We
this.
have been doing this forever.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And it comes back to that climate justice idea of like, you know, the people that have been suffering and for decades because of climate crisis and which has been brought upon them by the West and our habits from generations, are the ones that I've been saying, you know, we need to foster that closer relationship with nature to actually realize that we're connected. And I know myself, if I haven't developed that love for nature, I wouldn't have developed a love for myself, because we are connected. We're so connected. And I know through my relationship with nature, I'm a much better person to other people, you know? It's that knock-on effect, that circular motion, that continued relationship with nature that makes me a better person. That means I'm a better person to people, to others. So my final question before I let you go is this: your love of nature. We're saying it's from childhood, you fell in love with the mountains. This is the work that you've been doing your whole life. And I just want to know, how has it benefited your life? You know?
Oh my God. Yeah, that's not the right thing. It's actually my absolute everyday being. That's what it is. My everyday being. And my family and friends. I live here in the middle of nowhere. There's no shops. My nearest shop is 18 miles away. I live here because of my connection with nature. And my family and my friends will know that if I haven't had that fix, I am just another person. And I can't live with myself. So it's absolutely integral to every aspect of my life.
Yeah. And that reciprocal relationship. And I think sometimes that might be missing in the outdoorsy culture, in the sense I go out there, the outdoorsy, to escape or to enjoy a ride on the water or a swim. And it's a case of, that's fine, but what are you doing, or what are we doing to support nature and the environments to continue?
And that's to do with, I think that's but the first part of that, it's okay to enjoy nature just for nature's sake. Absolutely okay, because that's the first part of the journey. Because the more you do that, the more you'll understand it. So that's our premise, is that, you know, we can't expect folks to just completely understand it straight away, that you want to be in it and you'll love it and you'll do more in it, and then you'll start going noticing things differently. And so it's a part of a journey, a behavioral journey.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, I like to just say thank you for your time, Pammy. Is there anything that you'd like to add that we haven't touched upon, that you've got this burning urge to share with our listeners?
Yes. Anybody that wants to make a difference in the outdoor sector, as in want to work, want to volunteer, want to sit on the board level, want to make a difference with policies, contact us, because we can help you, put you in touch with everybody and make that happen a reality.
Contact who? What's your website address?
www.backbone.uk.net, and my email is Pammy, Pammy, @backbone.uk.net. And feel free to call me 07825 604 003, and I'm expecting the phone and the emails and things to go ping, ping, ping.
I love that. Everything what you just said will be in the show notes. But I just love that about you, Pammy, because you're open, transparent. You've established community-based organization which isn't trying to keep what you've created or what you offer to a small group of people. You know, that scarcity culture idea, like we've got ours, we're all right. But no, it's that sense of abundance and love that you're overflowing with. And I so appreciate that. I so appreciate that. I just wish there was more like you, Pammy.
Well, bottom line is I can't wait to physically meet everybody, you know, meeting some lovely people. And you're one of them, you know. I've been really privileged about that. So I'm really really looking forward to the work ahead and having you on board.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate your time. I just find you an inspiration because it was finding backbone that was thinking, well, it can be done. It can be done. Because, you know, you look around and when you can see that there's other people doing it, you feel less alone, you know? And I'm so pleased that we are connected. And I'm so pleased that there's this symposium happening. So thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Ta-ra
you.
then.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.